Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 20 of the Automana podcast. I am joined with the real Shiesty once again, but today we also have a guest, Chris from 1 Hour, One Decision Xbox podcast, exclusively Xbox for now. I'm going to see if I can confirm later. But how you doing, Chris?
I'm doing all right. Thanks so much for having me here. This is fun. I'm excited to talk to you guys and be on the show. So thanks.
Awesome.
Yeah, we appreciate you. We appreciate you coming on here. So one thing I want to ask, I always ask this with everybody, is what made you start creating videos? Because I think, what did you start with YouTube, or did you actually work on audio stuff first? Because read your comments.
Yeah, we were originally just all audio, and then I convinced Tom, like, let's just try out YouTube, just see how it goes, whatever. So that was like episode 40-ish that we started putting out the video stuff. So yeah, that was that. And then we've been making videos ever since. I dabbled a little bit into the TikTok world, but I'm like, oh god, I don't know how to do any of this stuff. It's just too much time.
Yeah, TikTok seems like it's very easy. Like it's just a simple clip, post, and that's it. But there's a lot more structure to it. So, what site did you start on first with your audio episodes?
Oh man, it's been so long I forgot that. Oh, Transistor. We started using Transistor first, and then we transitioned over to Anchor. So now we're fully on Anchor there and doing all that stuff. And like our YouTube stuff, we have a channel, but then since working with the guys over at QTB, we've been posting our videos there and kind of going from there. Like we have our own little playlist or whatnot over there too. So
yeah, that's the one thing, because Steve and I usually do like Twitch and YouTube. So going into the audio world was new for me, and I also discovered Anchor as well. I didn't even realize they're with or made by Spotify, so it was nice to see like the easy connection there. But how have you seen like the growth since you've done video? Because from what I've seen, or when I've researched, because I like to try to research as much as I can, is it seems like your first video was September 23rd, 2021, and even on your original channel, you guys had a decent following there. Have you, since you switched to video, have you seen your audience grow, or how is it?
I was like super obsessed about numbers when I first started putting that stuff out. Now I'm just like, I don't even look at the YouTube stuff like in terms of the numbers. I'm just like, whatever, if it happens. And same thing with the audio stuff. I'm just grateful that I get an opportunity to work with Tom and make these stuff. Like we've hit our 2-year mark, and we've hit over 100 episodes, and like these are two milestones that neither one of us thought we would ever accomplish in doing something like this. So in that sense, I'm grateful for that, and being able to reconnect with a college buddy of mine. So now we're many moons outside of college, but it's cool to be able to do that with them and be consistent about it.
That's cool. So those achievements are far more greater than actual achievements of views and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. It's nice to be like recognized, acknowledged, and stuff like that in the space, but and meeting like cool people like you and like interacting, and like, because we all love games, and being able to talk about that stuff freely with people that are not going to be jerks about stuff. So I'm like, I'm all with that. So
yeah, I think the one thing that I really appreciate about your channel is also the, how do you say it, the engagement that you have with your community. Because at least from what I've seen, is that usually before you and Tom do like a review of a game, you like tweet out first, and then you see what people fill out, they do a request or something, or you vote on it, and then that's when you guys cover. And I like that you guys actually ask your audience what they want to see and then move from there, because I know that there's been games you've enjoyed and some games you haven't enjoyed. But it's also nice hearing your guys' opinion, because sometimes you guys might agree on the same thing, or sometimes you might differ, and then sometimes you might completely bash on a game like Vampire Survivor, which I could see why.
Yeah, it was The Twitter poll thing was actually fairly recent
Mm-hmm.
compared like in the 2 year span of us, but we were really riding the surprise me button for a long time and trying that out. And while it was nice, it kind of limited us sometimes, or was a blocker for us in terms of getting to talk about the newer games that Game Pass was getting at the time. And there was some really cool stuff that we couldn't really talk about because we were tied to the surprise me button for a bit. So we're like, what if we just like throw it out to Twitter and like get that kind of engagement that way? So that's kind of how we've been like doing that. So we try to do that at least once a month. Get a user request kind of thing in there. So
So prior to the engagement or surprise button, how were you then determining how to choose and review games? Was it just by what you guys wanted to do? Like, is there a certain genre that you guys gravitate towards, or?
well, I mean, the premise of this show was
Oh.
specifically the idea that I had like 2 plus years ago, I joined Game Pass, and I was literally like sitting one night and looking at all the games that were there. And keep in mind, this is when Game Pass wasn't as big as it is now, and I was just like so overwhelmed with all the choices that were there. And I was just scrolling down the on the PC app, and I saw that there was this button called surprise me, and I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And then like it just kind of gave me the idea of like, you know, what if we what if we base the show on something like this, where I'm going to go through the library of Game Pass, and I'm not going to pick it myself. This button's going to pick it for me. So I pitched the idea to Tom, and that's kind of where we went with the show. And like
Mhm.
the premise also was just that because we're both getting into our older years, past our
Mhm.
prime kind of thing, and
Although,
we
yeah, I
don't have
know
as
each
much
other.
time. Yeah, we don't have as much time anymore, right? Like I have a family and stuff like that, so it's like if we can get just an hour a week, be able to try out a game, see if we like it, that'd be cool. And that's what we did. We just made sure like that was the ground rules. Like we only have an hour. We had to figure out, is this hour make this game worth it to continue playing or not? So
Gotcha.
So with the surprisement thing, has there been any genres that you were introduced to by accident that you just stuck with because you were just surprised in how well played? Because for me, I know I usually have genres I gravitate to, like shooters, action RPGs, and all that stuff. But
mhm.
recently, I also been branching out just like you, mostly for achievement and trophy purposes. And now I'm getting into more like narrative-driven games, like Telltale or um, supermassive games like the Man of Medan. Has there been any genre that you usually weren't into and then got surprised? You're like, oh, this is actually pretty good. I'm gonna invest more or look into more games in this genre.
um I don't know if it was like particular genres. Like, well, I would say for me, I've never really been into the Yakuza series,
Mm-hmm.
and like that happened. We happened to fall into one of those, and I know generally like that game doesn't do well in the first hour because there's so many cutscenes and stuff like that. But for me, it got me really into the world, and I was really into it. So I actually, when they pulled it, I actually bought the game because I was like, all right, this is Kiwami 2 that I bought. And it was just like it's just such a ridiculous game. And I was like, I love this. Like, so um but then there've been like some random games that we've played, like Rain on Your Parade was like just this weird, like you're like this cloud that's just being like literally like ruining people's lives. And it's such a doofy concept, but I like, it was just one of the games that like really stuck to me. And um but again, like that would have been a game that I probably wouldn't have picked up if I were like just at a GameStop or whatever, because of like, oh, this looks kind of weird. Like, so like this going through the library in this way is just fun because you get to try to dabble in different types of genres. Like I will say what it has done for me is uh cement my hatred for roguelikes. So I'm not a huge fan of that style of game, and like Vampire Survivors is another one of them. I'm like, I yeah, I already had a bad taste in my mouth because it was that, and then on top of it, that you do nothing but walk. I'm like, nope,
So, what
not
was
for
the
me.
first roguelike game that you played that gave you such a dislike for it? And then how many have you played afterwards besides Vampire
Oh my
Survivor?
god, how many have we played? That's a great question. I think the first one we played was Neon Abyss. I think that was the first. I'm just looking at my list right now. Yeah, I think that was the first one that we played. And then, but like there was like a time where it was like every 3 or 4 games there would be another roguelike. I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, how many of these are there? So
It's like,
it was just
because you've
nuts.
enjoyed this one, try this one.
Right. It's like but like there was one that was kind of interesting, which was Void Bastards. I don't know if you guys have heard of that one. Um
I've heard
which
of it, haven't
like
played it.
yeah, it had a very cool art style, like very comic book panel-y kind of way. And it was like a first person shooter, but it just like, I mean, because again, it was like a roguelike where you just like you would die and then just have to start all over with your like new prisoner or whatever, and they would have different perks. It was like, oh my god, I can't get back into this game. So, but yeah, I think we've gone through probably at least 4, no, maybe more than that, probably like 5 or 6 of them that we've gone through so far, and it's just
Well,
random. They're all
so
random except for Vampire Survivor. That was a request.
kind of like a two-parter here. What has been your most favorite game to review and play, and what your worst game to review and play? If you can come up with them.
Vampire Survivor was my
That's easy.
worst. That was my worst. Favorite game. Um, hmm. Well, I will say it was a game that I initially didn't want to play,
Mhm.
but I put it out there that if we got to 100 subs on YouTube, I'll finish the game on the stream, and that was
Mm.
Resident Evil 7.
Oh, interesting.
Uh, I mean, what was interesting about the game, like the first part, like because I'm terrible with scary games, we played Alien Isolation. I was like, I'm not playing this game ever again, just because it was just too scary. And I didn't even see the alien yet. That was the part. That was the scary. That was the worst part.
Let's be
And then
honest,
I
the
found out.
robots are much more scary than the aliens.
Oh, really?
At least in my
Just
opinion, I've always been more scared of the bots.
yeah. Well, but with Resident Evil 7, like the first part of it was like terrifying for me because it was just like these creepy people like running around chasing you in this house. And then like by the end, it got to like the weird, like the quirky Resident Evil ness of it. And I was
Oh
like,
yeah, when
okay,
they're in the
it's not
tunnels
as,
and you got the gun.
yeah, it's not as scary anymore. And I was like, okay, fine. Like, but like overall, it was a cool uh experience, and like the whole tension of things, people chasing you and all this stuff, and like it was a decent enough shooter, I guess. But
Mhm.
so
So was it? Are you a Resident Evil fan by any stretch of the imagination, or?
um I mean I played Resident Evil 5 and I think a little bit of 6, and like I've watched other people play the first 3 or 4, but I didn't really, I'm not gonna say like I'm a super fan of any by any stretch of the imagination, but like, I respect the franchise. Like they've done so many so far, and like they've done how many reboots of 4? Isn't another one coming out?
Yeah,
My
4 is
god.
going to get re-released here, I think, sometime this
Remakes, not
year.
reboots, but yeah, and
Yeah,
it's nuts. Like Capcom just prints money with those games.
They
yeah, and
definitely do.
per money with other things too.
So, because I'm a lot like you. I don't really like scary games, but for some reason, if a game that's scary has like a good story, I'm all the way in. I don't care how scary it is. What do you like when you have games like that? Do you look more for story, gameplay? Like, if you had to get past like something that you didn't like, what has to drive you forward? Is it the gameplay, story, or is it something completely else? Music?
I think, well, I mean, music can help for sure. The I think a good story can definitely sway my opinion about a game too. I think also, I mean, it could be a combination of the two, right? Because like I recently just played a game, like not for the podcast, but called Chinatown Detective Agency,
Mm.
and like the concept of it was really cool. The fact that it's like a future Singapore, and like you're a detective at the time, and like there's like some sort of weird um, like overarching story that happens, and like as you play through the story, or like you have like these cases and stuff like that, and it branches out, and like you have like multiple endings, like that kind of stuff can keep me going for a particular game. But like some of it, the execution of the game is not great, because they'll have some great, like there was like some voice acting in there, and then like all of a sudden it just stops, like it was just, the game was buggy, the UI was clunky, and it was just, but I was like, all right, I gotta keep trying, I'll keep going. And it's, but if the characters are compelling, if the gameplay, if the loop of like what I'm doing, the core thing that I'm doing is enjoyable, then I'll keep going with it. So
That makes. I think that's probably one thing that drives me with narrative-driven games like Mad Bandan, Little Hope, and all that stuff is because I do like that story so much that it just drives me forward. And then also, like you said, with the multiple endings, it's like the first playthrough I always should be like the best possible ever, and then the second one might be the worst or how
yeah,
different it could be. So
like that was a thing like with Cyberpunk too, right? Like um, I put it down for a long time, and then I came back. I was like, and I didn't even get past like the first major thing that happens. Like before you even meet, I don't know if you guys, have you guys played
I
Cyberpunk?
have, yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Like before you even meet Johnny Silverhand, I stopped right before that, like that mission. And I was like, okay, it's fine. And then like once I got to that part, I was like, oh wow, okay, this game got like really cool now. And like that was literally the same thing that happened to me for The Witcher 3. Like there was a point where I was like, oh, I don't know how, if I really like this game or not. But yeah, like it's just like you like it definitely wouldn't, Cyberpunk wouldn't have made the first hour for me, if I were to make that decision. But now, as I did that, and then like I watched Edge Runners, that like got me hyped up again for the game too. So like that kind of stuff can go a long way, I guess, for a game.
Yeah, it's also funny too that you say that because I didn't even think about Cyberpunk, but in a way that also has different replayability because it's not the story that changes, it's the
Yeah,
way you go about the game. Like you can either
right.
be a super fast melee, a gunslinger, a hacker. Like the
Yeah.
way you engage the game always changes depending on your build, and
Mhm.
that's also really fun too. And somehow even makes the game feel fresh and new every single time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was another thing. I was overwhelmed with your choices, like of what you can, like how to play the game. So I was like, okay, I just sat down. I was like, okay, I'm going to play in this style. And then like that, I guess, gave me a little less anxiety playing the game. And so I was able to continue to play that. And speaking of story games, Pentiment, I don't know if you guys have tried that out.
I know it's on Game Pass. I heard a lot of people talking about it.
It's
Isn't it kind of like, how do you say it? It's all text based, right?
Yeah, it's
And
basically a visual novel, but
okay.
like I guess a Western version of a visual novel. And yeah, but it was so well done, I would say. I liked the quirkiness of the art style and stuff like that. And but it was good. It was good. I think it took me about 7 or 8 hours to complete. So it's not
So
too long.
I know you also played Procession to Calvary. Would you compare the two?
That was a great game too. But that was more of like a point and click adventure
Yeah, it was
that
also
I'd say.
weird and comedic too.
Yeah, that was another game that was like probably one of my favorites. That showed up on the podcast, so I was happy about that. But yeah, like I don't know, it was good though. Procession of Calvary was good, but the both of them are two totally different. Like one is a very serious like game, and then Procession of Calvary was just like, Monty Python or whatever you want to call, like this ridiculousness that happened. So
I'm probably gonna have to try because I hear so much about that, and I do like text-based games, especially if it's funny. But you said Pentiment is more serious.
It's more serious, but I guess you could play it jokingly. But there are like you have to be prepared for like it's broken up into 3 acts, right? And every act they kind of like it kind of resets. So it's like there's like that world building in like the first, I don't know, 2 or 3 like game days, that there's like you understand who the characters are that you're interacting with and like how you do that. And the interesting thing is there's something that happens in the first act that you never really find out, like if you because you make a choice in that first act, and that kind of percolates down to the rest of the other acts of like what happens, and you never really find out if your choice that you made was the correct one. And um which can be bother people, because you're like, oh, I want to know what the real solution is. And it's like, well, the real solution is what you picked, is essentially what the designers at Obsidian said. So I was like, all right, I could respect that. And like, but I went back and like I just looked at like forum stuff, like who got the best ending, and I was like, okay, good, I did do the right choice. I was like, so good to know.
I would have to check that game out because Steve actually introduced me to, well, I guess didn't introduce me to JRPGs, but a certain series of games like Octopath Travelers and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And even though those are, what would you say, like turn-based strategy games, there's
Yeah.
also a lot of like text where you have to like get the story of the characters and they lead forward. So
Yeah.
it sounds like a game that I might potentially like. And you said it's like what, 78 hours? Correct?
Yeah, it's not very long at all. It's not very long. And but again, like you just have like there's just be prepared for like the initial opening of each act. There is again just a lot of world building there that happens. So if it's going to be bothering to you, then then maybe it's not the right game.
Dude, Dune. Sorry, world building is like the greatest thing for me. That's why I like Lord of the Rings. That's why I like Dune
Yeah.
and all that stuff. So I'm all in on that stuff. So if you say it's good, I'm probably. I mean, you probably have a video on your channel, right, for this?
Well, no, we didn't play this game on our podcast. I just played it because I was just excited to try it out. So, although it was on my Twitch. We did play for a little bit on Twitch, but it wasn't like a very good Twitch game
Yeah.
to watch, just because it's like text. It's just text. So
Yeah.
It probably falls a lot like Triangle Strategy. Triangle Strategy was like that a lot. It's a lot of reading, like you said, a lot of lore building, but it was good, and they had the voice acting, which just matched up with it.
Okay. This has no voice acting at all.
Oh yeah, no,
so.
they have voice acting though. But to that point, like when I started playing it, it was like easily over 30 minutes initially. Like you don't even touch
Wow.
a button to do gameplay, but I still enjoyed it thoroughly because like, oh, I'm liking this. Like the story's actually good.
Yeah.
And then but I still never finished it as good as the story was. But that's because whole other thing, time and stuff. But before the days of Game Pass and stuff, and I hopefully don't go off the rails here. But like what game or franchise or what have you got you to love video games as you do today?
Oh man. I mean, I'm gonna date myself, but the LucasArts point and click adventure games from way back when, like one of my favorite games of all time is Sam & Max Hit the Road. So that
I've heard of it, but never played it.
Yeah, it's just such a zany, weird point and click adventure that that LucasArts made back in the day. Like, was it 92, 93? I don't know, but yeah, that was there. And of course, like at the time there was, I mean, LucasArts was just hitting on all cylinders at that time. They had like the X-wing versus TIE Fighter. That whole series was great. And then like all their other point and click adventures were great. And but yeah, like there was that was like that era at the time I was really into that stuff. And then like we're talking, because my parents only got me a Nintendo, and like after that they're like, no, you're not getting anything else after that. So I had to grow up and get myself a console, and that console was the Dreamcast, and I have a very strong connection to that as well. So so many great fighters and stuff like that on that console. And But in terms of like a franchise stuff like that, I was really into when they rebooted Prince of Persia. That was a great series. And then Uncharted was great. Yeah, like those are kind of like I really did enjoy like those third person like adventure games and stuff
Adventure
like
games,
that.
yeah. Cool.
So and Splinter Cell, oh my god, Splinter Cell was a game I loved as well.
See, Josh
Dude,
brought that up last week. Splinter Cell.
yeah. Well, I'm not sure if you ever played, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, the
Oh
new
yeah,
one.
yeah. Oh no,
So
I didn't play that one yet.
I was gonna say the new Modern Warfare 2 feels exactly like the old Splinter Cell games, where it's very stealth based.
Oh,
Choose the way you attack and then go in. Like
huh.
they changed the whole gameplay from like just being like run and gun, go forward, move on. You actually have to be somewhat strategic about it, and stealth
Hmm.
wise. And that's one of
Okay.
the one things I loved about Splinter Cell is that you didn't always engage the enemy head on. You always had to lay traps for them, bait them
Yeah.
forward, and take them out.
I actually just went through. I tried to play the game again. I was like, damn, this game is hard. Like it's like just playing a normal like because like there's so many like so many things in modern gaming that you don't get in that game. Like there's no mini map. There's nothing like objective markers, nothing like that. And you're just really trying to figure out using all your senses in a sense to like figure out where they are, like figure out their patterns and stuff like that. So it was definitely harder than I thought it was. So,
Yeah, dude, and their senses are just like turned to 11. Like somehow they can hear you or see
yeah.
you when you're behind cover. I'm like, how would you see? Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing pointing out. It's like Metal Gear Solid in a way where you're just like hiding in a box and it's like, nope, they know you're there. You just can't get out.
Right.
Yeah, I've never experienced the Splinter Cell franchise. The only one I played, and this is an older one too. I think it was called Siphon Filter,
Oh yes.
and
Okay.
and I beta tested that one, and I can't remember the dynamic, but I felt like it was something cool at the time because it was like up to 6 people online, but then online wasn't that great,
Mm.
and the campaign or whatever would change depending on how many people you would actually have in that game, right? So like if
Oh.
you did it with only 2 people, the level would function a particular way. And if you had a third, fourth, fifth, sixth, the level would kind of like get harder, and different objectives would populate for that particular thing. And I never bought it when it came to retail, but I was pretty enamored with it when I was beta testing it, and I was like, damn, this is actually a pretty cool concept. But
Yeah.
I'm not too sure how popular it got. I know Splinter Cell as a whole is a very popular franchise, but
Yeah.
I don't know if that like one game was kind of like somewhat of a bust. But
Well,
but yeah,
I'm pretty sure they made a couple of the Siphon filters.
Yeah, Siphon Filter. That's the PS1s, right?
Yeah.
I think I played on PS2, so it might have been like not even the first one. It might have
Oh,
been
so
like
this might be a completely different franchise because I know recently the PlayStation Plus catalog they just
uh-huh.
released the Siphon Filter 1, 2, and 3 for the backwards compatible for PS1.
Oh wow. Nice.
So there might be like a separate game series, or maybe they might be the
maybe
same, just different reboot.
Yeah, I'd have to probably dig up to find exactly, but yeah, that was like the only one I ever tried. I mean, the stealthy ones are cool and all, but like I guess I'm not really into the running gun either. But I don't know. I
Yeah.
guess it's just not my forte.
Like the like Splinter Cell had that Mercs versus Spies. That was a cool multiplayer. I wish they would bring it back. Well, they're supposedly rebooting the Splinter Cell. I don't know when it's ever coming back. If it's ever going to be that original, like if I'll get that original feeling again. But that Mercs versus Spies was really a really cool multiplayer experience. Like it was like the 2 spies and like I think you could have up to 3 Mercs. Forget, but it was like it was so fun. I would want to play that again.
Those old school Tom Clancy games, man, they just went in like I'm not sure if you ever played like the old like
Yeah.
is it Rainbow Six? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, because you would have like the terrorists versus the SWAT or whatever police you were, and you would always have to be. It wasn't just like you just shoot them down. You had to like breach and clear and then move on, take them out. And it was just
tactical.
It was just an interesting experience compared to like the average Call of Duty, which I'm not against Call of Duty. I love Call of Duty, been a fan for many years. But when you actually have to think about how you're going to engage somebody, it brings a little bit more excitement to that gunfight.
Yep, for sure. And then like there was the Ghost Recon stuff that
Mm.
was really cool. Like it was more strategic, and like to your point, like where you're not just going in there guns blazing. So it was fun.
Have you So I know you're talking about Prince of Persia. Are you looking forward to the potential? I'm not sure if it's like a remaster or a reboot, but supposedly they're gonna make like a new Sands of Time. Are you interested in that?
Well, I was excited when I heard about it, and I kept hearing about the delays and like they just shifted the whole dev team or something like that. So I'm like, oh my god, Ubi, what are you doing? Like they just can't seem to get anything done properly. So I'm. It'd be nice to see if the like update like that game with updated graphics and stuff like that because playing it again it'd probably look pretty rough around the edges, but I
So,
guess that's the only thing I can play right now anyway because the remaster or whatever isn't out yet. So
surprisingly, I'm not sure if you've played the 360 or PS3 version, but there's like the trilogy collection. Those
Mhm.
surprisingly hold up really well, and then I think they also had like another like Sands of Time or Edge of Time, whatever, where it's like the I guess last actual entry, and that wasn't too bad either. It's like I don't know what Ubisoft is doing. It's like they focus on just Rainbow Six Siege
Yep.
and Assassin's Creed, but they have great series like Prince of Persia, like one of the best action platformers out there, and
Yeah.
they just completely just like threw in the trash and it was like, yeah, we're moving on from this.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't like Assassin's Creed came out of Prince of Persia, from what I understand, right? Like,
I think it's
it
pretty
was,
close, yeah, with the
yeah,
man thing on the wall and then moving around.
yeah.
Yeah, I would say
So,
that would be a fair assessment for sure.
so I mean, well, yeah, and then there's Beyond Good and Evil, the game that's never coming out. So,
Dude, when was it? When was Beyond Good and Evil 2 trailer? Wasn't it like 7 years ago? They showed it like
more
E3 or
than that,
something,
more than that.
and it looked
It's crazy.
amazing too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but it was all like just what do you call it? It was just CG, so it wasn't the
Yeah.
actual game. So like we don't know what it looks like. So
Do you think Beyond Good and Evil 2 is like kind of like Dead Island 2, where it's just going through development hell and eventually it'll be picked up by a developing studio that is just like, all right, we'll give it love, we'll put it out.
I don't know. I have no idea because like it's I don't know. I don't know.
So I guess moving back to what we're gonna ask is, going from your channel and how you were talking about how you switched to video format recently, but also you didn't just switch to video format, you also switched channels too. What made you jump from 1 hour one decision, your actual channel, to quit the build?
Well, we like the guys over there, Nick, Bruno, and Brad, like they were building. They got to us pretty early and spoke to us about this idea of like building a network and stuff like that. And we thought it was just like a cool idea just to be able to work with these guys because they like we've I was following them for a bit and listening to their podcasts and stuff like that. They seem like a good group of guys, and like they generally try to stay positive about things, which is great too. That's I think we try to stay positive about gaming and stuff like that, and not be so negative and you know start the flame the fanboy wars and stuff like that. So yeah, like so we just thought it'd be cool to be a part of that and be a part of their network and see how it goes out. And it's been great so far. We've been I've been learning a lot from them and how they manage their network and stuff like that and their content. So
Yeah, because I think I was watching like your it might have been a comparison video of like Dead Space and another game. Is the
yeah.
game core from Quit the Build as well? Is that
No,
them
no.
or is that different?
They're just podcast friends of ours. I've been chatting with them for a while too, and we've been wanting to do some sort of collaboration with them for a bit. And then like I thought this was just a perfect opportunity because their podcast early on they did like these head to heads of games. I was like, hey, we're finishing up this thing, and like you want to be a part of this, and it kind of worked out nicely. And they're a great podcast too. If you guys want to check out like it's a semi scripted show, and they talk about games too, so it's good.
Just
was,
like us. No.
yeah, I was watching that. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like, you know how you say, you know, what games you like, and then it's like a majority vote thing, and if you know, see who differs. But who are the people from Quit the Build? Because I think you've collaborated with them before, but I know it's like three guys as well, right? They
Yes. Yeah. Nick, Brad, and Bruno. They. When's the last time we've done something with them? Like on our podcast, it's probably been a minute since we've done something with them. But like we've been on their show a couple times. I've been on their show a couple of times for a couple of their episodes because they're a news podcast. So they'll do stuff like that, current events of sorts. But um, yeah, like, but it's just we'll just try to promote each other as much as we can and all that stuff too. So
So
go ahead.
I was gonna say, so just a little bit earlier, you know, you dropped the genesis of how you used to own a Nintendo. You then eventually got yourself a Dreamcast. So, will you guys ever find yourself reviewing other system games or just purely Xbox Game Pass games?
So I know Tom has he would like to do some retro games, like reviewing that kind of stuff, and we just gotta figure out how we would incorporate it into the show, or we do like a separate thing. I don't know. We just figure that out. It's just ironing out those details and seeing what makes sense for us and all that stuff. So yeah.
So when you say like, you know, the struggle of incorporating, is it just because of like getting the game or interest in game?
No, I think it's just like, does it make sense for this particular podcast? Because like we've already kind of established that we are like a Xbox Game Pass podcast, and it's like, okay, do we do it here or do we or not? I mean, I guess we can try to rebrand. I don't know. I don't know how it works, but
Yeah.
we're still figuring things out as we go. So, yeah, I mean, and like on top of the retro games, like I even like thought the idea of like, oh, what if we like review movies or review like TV shows or whatever? There's a bunch of those things out there, so we can do that too. But
So I'm one of the people that always likes to push for it because you guys have like the best name. Obviously, you know, you guys have the actual name for your channel is 1 Hour One Decision, and
right,
then like the sub thing is a Xbox gaming podcast.
yeah,
But if you just take out the Xbox part, you really have like the best name ever. 1 Hour One Decision. It's very vague. It can be whatever you
yeah,
want. You guys
yeah,
got the perfect name for it already.
yeah. I guess we could do that. Well, I just gotta. We'll think about it. Think about it for sure.
I know. No matter what you do, if you stick with Xbox, if you decide to do, you know, retro games, PlayStation, Nintendo, movies, TV shows, whatever,
Yeah.
or if you have like a separate series altogether, like, you know, 1 Hour One Decision Xbox, 1 Hour One Decision PlayStation,
Yeah.
you would have listeners all the time. Like I know I'll be one of them.
I appreciate that.
Is there some sort of Microsoft loyalty check there that we don't know about?
No, it'd be nice. It'd be nice if we got that, but no. It was just because that was a service I had and I was already paying for it. I was like, all right, why don't we just try this out? So
Gotcha.
that was the thing.
So when you play Game Pass, do you find yourself playing more of the console version or do you play the PC version?
I will generally play everything on my PC
Okay.
because and I guess the way that we have it set up anyway is like Tom, he still has like a series, not a Series X, like the One X. So he's playing his games on that, and so it's like we get the two different, I guess, points of view. If like I'm playing it on mouse and keyboard and he's playing it on a controller, like we get to see that kind of like, is this game actually work on a mouse and keyboard? Does it work on a controller and stuff like that? Especially like there when we, I think what do we play, like City Skylines, and that was he played that on the console, and I was like, ugh, how do you play like a game like that on console? Like some of them, sometimes there's decent execution on those style, like those sim style of games, but sometimes it can be terrible.
I love your reaction to City Skylines on console because I played it on the PS5, and the building mechanic with like switching, what structure you want is awful on console. I would never do that ever again.
Yeah,
it's like theme park or what's it called?
Roller Coaster
Part,
Tycoon.
yeah, Roller Coaster Tycoon, where you have to
Oh
build it.
wow.
It's awful
Yeah.
on console.
Hmm. I haven't played one of those in a long time.
Yeah.
Long time. I remember I used to play the hell out of SimCity on the regular Super Nintendo, but that's a long time ago.
They
Yeah.
had the Sims on the Nintendo.
Yeah.
SimCity, not the
SimCity.
Sims.
Oh,
Yeah, SimCity. So it's just a world builder basically.
Yeah.
And then they'll have tornadoes come and tear it up, and a
Yep.
Godzilla come and tear it up. Yeah, that was a
Yep.
classic. And then I did play a little bit of Roller Coaster Tycoon. PS2, I want to say. So
Okay.
yeah, I didn't think they were that bad as far as controller. I mean, I could obviously see how it functioned a lot better on PC,
Yeah.
but I didn't think they were too bad.
I think this would definitely come down to preference because I played most of that stuff on PC, so maybe that's why I have that dislike for it. But the swapping between RB, LB, and then pressing X, Y, whatever, it feels weird.
I could definitely see how you would get spoiled if you
Yeah.
played it on PC first, like 100%.
Yeah.
Like very easily. But but if you go the other way around, or if you just never touch it on PC, you could get the job done. Won't be as fast paced, but
So going, moving on to Game Pass because I'm usually like an avid supporter of Game Pass because if it wasn't for Game Pass, we wouldn't have PlayStation Plus. The new catalog and all that stuff we have now, PlayStation Now. So that I'm a huge fan of that. Since you do play Game Pass so often, is there anything you would like to see like updated with it, like maybe like a voting system for like what the new main game would be, or how is there anything different you would like to see from it?
Well, they did add one thing, at least on the PC app, which was nice. Like being able to see how long, like they integrated how long to beat, which is always great. So at least it gives me an understanding of how long a game would take to beat. And I'm like, we will generally give that kind of information on our show too. But what else would I like? I think just better like their search right now isn't great. It could be better.
I totally forgot. I mean, even their app too is like weird with searching. Like you can even type in the whole
Yeah.
name and it will just be like blank.
Yeah. What else? I guess like maybe like some of the nice things about there's still like some separation or like with cloud gaming versus game like where you have to install the game. There's not, and like it's not properly it doesn't give you that like clear definition about if a game is available to play on console or sorry, available to play on cloud versus like you have to install it locally. Stuff
Oh,
like
did
that
they
would be
switch the
nice.
icons? Because I know on console they have like they have like a cloud symbol next, like in the bottom left, if it's streamable or not. Is that
Yeah,
different on
well,
PC?
there's like there's like there's a section called cloud gaming on the PC, but like if I'm but it would be nice to be able to like go to a game and then see that there's an install option, but then also be like, oh, you can play this on cloud too to check it out. It's like, okay. So I don't know, just stuff
Oh,
like
I
that. Like,
got you now. I got you.
so like in case I don't want to maybe spend the 50 to 100 gigs to install whatever it is. Like, I guess how big is Halo Infinite or whatever is ridiculous.
Yeah,
So,
any of those big shooter games are always massive in size.
yeah.
So it's actually funny that you say with just test it out because I've never actually liked streaming because it always hinders the quality of the game. But in your case, it's like the best reason to have streaming is if you just want to try it out, you just want to play it, and you don't want to download, you just stream it for a little bit, see if you like it, and if you do like it, then
Yeah.
download it for like the enhanced version. Now that you say that, it makes so much sense, and I'm so happy that they actually integrated before because I was like, why would anyone ever play a full game this way? But I'm like, if you're just testing it, it's like the best thing now.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it's the cloud, like being able to like pull out my phone and then just being able to try a game on it on the go is nice too. And especially when there's touch control. Well, again, not touch controls doesn't work for every game, and I get that for like a competitive shooter or whatever, like where you need precision, I wouldn't trust cloud gaming yet, but it's getting there. And like like a game like Pentiment, like I was able to play that on the cloud, and that was no issue because it's like very text based, nothing really fast acting or whatnot. So so it's like kind of like those casual style games. It's perfect for, and yeah, that's kind of where I sit with the cloud gaming stuff. So
So I know you play Xbox and PC, or mostly PC right now. Do you
mhm.
personally do you play any other system right now as well?
um, I do have a PS5. I don't really play it that much, but I did finish God of War 2018 on there because I kept, I was like just ramping up to Ragnarok. And I was like, okay, is this game actually that good? I was like, yeah, it's okay. I was fine with it. I mean the axe mechanic was really good. It felt good, and all that stuff. But like there was so many little things about the game that bothered me, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if it was like I don't know if even back in 2018 if I would call this my game of the year, but hey, kudos to the team.
Have you played the other God of War games, like the original trilogy?
Yes, I really like those though. I was really a big fan of the original God of War series because it was just so over the top ridiculous, and it was like it felt like a game, whereas this felt like it was trying to tell a story,
Hmm.
and which is fine. Like I get that, but it was like um you know like you could see it was that boilerplate kind of Sony, you know
Movie template kind of game.
yeah, like there's the parent and the child and that kind of relationship, like with God of War and The Last of Us and stuff like that. Like they're trying to take it very seriously, which is fine. That's what they want to do. They want to have like a serious game or whatever. But like there was like some, it was like the first three were just so over the top and ridiculous. I'm like, okay, well, I was totally for it. Like where he's just ripping people's heads off and stuff like that, which he kind of does in this game, but I felt like it was a bit more muted because
Yeah.
I guess they were trying to be more um serious in a way. Yeah, I guess that's the only word I could really say is like it was just more. It was trying to be more serious for it. I'm like, okay, whatever.
It's funny that because I've played all of them. I haven't played Ragnarok, but I played all of them, and it
Mhm.
seems like the people that played the original trilogy definitely don't prefer the newer ones as much. I'm not saying that they
Yeah,
hate it. It's just
yeah,
it feels like if you're part of the original trilogy, you love that more than the new versions. But if you're part of the new versions, only the original trilogy just doesn't work for you.
yeah.
But the reason why I brought up the console stuff is because you were talking about streaming and all that stuff. I was gonna see if you tried the streaming on any other platform,
Hmm.
because I think the reason why I dislike cloud so much is because Nintendo turned me off on it. Because I'm not sure if
Oh,
you ever played any like Nintendo Switch game, but they started to do like streaming stuff now for like Kingdom Hearts, Resident Evil, and it is like
oh,
the worst possible iteration of streaming I've ever seen.
oh! Wow. Okay, I didn't realize that they were doing that. Yeah, no, I haven't tried anything from Nintendo in that way, and most of the time my kids just take the console hostage anyways, like with Pokemon or what was the other game they were just playing? Animal Crossing and stuff like that. So there's just a lot of that is going on over there, and now they've taken the PlayStation to do like Gotham Knights and stuff like that. I was like, okay, here you go, just get out of my way. That's why I'll try to stick to my PC and just someone will leave me alone to so I can do that stuff.
It's
And I
weird
mean,
how
because
oh god, sorry.
oh no, I was gonna say like and PC, I feel like I get the best of like most of the worlds because like now Sony's releasing a lot of their stuff on PC, which is cool. So I could potentially try out like Horizon Zero's Dawn and all that stuff. So I'm fine with where I am with the PC. So
What I was gonna say before, and now I want to change it to something else. But I was gonna say it's funny how like a single game can almost drive you to buy a console. Like the
yeah,
only reason why I bought Switch was mainly for Pokemon,
yeah.
and then PlayStation I just got it because I just like trophy hunting. But wouldn't it be awesome to see in the future? Like I was like as I was saying earlier, because of Game Pass, PlayStation decided to ramp its streaming service up. Imagine if somehow PlayStation's streaming service came to PC as well, and now you have the best of both worlds just in
That would
one
be
place.
That would be pretty cool. I will say, um, the Sony Remote Play or whatnot
Uh-huh.
works pretty well, and I'm kind of sad that Xbox or Microsoft took that away in this like new version. I hope they bring it back where I can do remote play on my Xbox, but I guess at the same time it's like you can kind of play the games already on your PC, so maybe it's like redundant. But still, there's like certain games that are not on like the PC version yet that like it's just like console only, which gets me a little frustrated. Like I'm looking at you now, Plague Tale. Like I that was because I bought it on my Xbox, but I can't play it on my PC. So I'm like, there's that cross play stuff that doesn't work. So,
Yeah, that's the one thing that I've always like. It's hard with consoles because like one thing always does something better than the other, and then vice versa.
mhm.
Like as much as I like to give PlayStation crap about certain things, like you're right, the um the share play or the online play that they do where you could either stream your game to a person that doesn't own the game and they could
Mhm.
join you either be online or offline co-op, or just the assisting with achievements or features and how to get past certain levels. Like I love how they integrate that for PlayStation, but for some reason it's like Xbox like doesn't help you in those areas. Like
Yeah.
what are they doing? It's like they do a lot of great things, but there's it's like they fail on those like accessibility options to play with more people, or at least
Yeah.
get past certain games or hints and all that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, like the competition is good, right? And I'm hoping that like they see that there's this feature here, like that maybe Xbox players are really clamoring for, and then they will integrate it hopefully into it. I don't know, but we'll see.
Yeah, 'cause
Um,
I'm not sure if you're an achievement hunter at all. Um,
no, I barely have enough time to play these games now. It's like to do achievements. I'm like, oh my god, no, I need more.
yeah, the only reason why I do is because as you were saying before, when you were younger, you'd only get like one game at a time or a
Yeah,
console. I think that's where it stems from. Is that when I had a game, I made sure I beat that all the way. And I think
yeah,
that's
yeah.
why I keep doing it forward. But
I get
one
that.
thing I'd love to see with Xbox is them add like a hint feature like PlayStation does to help
Yeah.
assist in getting achievements.
I
So
wonder
how
how they would do that though. Like, or rather, like, does do the game designers have to put that in there? Like, I'm curious how that whole system works on Sony versus Xbox. Like, if they do it there, like, and as long as Microsoft has something like a system in place, this is just easy enough for them to just plug and play in there.
So PlayStation, I know that usually the developers do it. Like they give you like a little
Mhm.
tutorial on how to get certain collectibles. Like they just have it mapped out
Uh,
for you.
okay.
Um, but Xbox has the advantage of not just the developers, but they also have communities for like true trophies and all that stuff, where they could link that site and have like their
Yeah,
guide side by side with the actual game, like PlayStation does.
be cool.
so how long has the share play been around? Did that was that a PS4 feature? I believe it was, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it
Oh,
might have been since the PS3 because I know the
really
Vita actually had that feature for both PS3 and
Hmm.
PS4.
interesting. Damn, I didn't realize they've had it that long. Hmm. Well,
Yeah,
okay.
it's worked pretty well.
Yeah.
I guess the one I don't know if Sony has something like this, but the what's the name of the Xbox feature where you can like basically control like half of your controller with someone else. Like so if like you're playing with someone that like a younger kid or whatever, or maybe someone that doesn't have like the dexterity to play with the twin sticks, like you can control like the car or whatever while the other person like it just presses one button to like let them act like they're playing. What is it called? Co-pilot. I think it's co-pilot or something like that.
It might be. I
It's,
know what you're talking about because I definitely remember that being like such a cool feature with having somebody else just take over your screen. But yeah, I can't remember what they called it, man. It was such a unique feature. I don't know why they stopped it.
yeah. So,
Hmm.
I don't
I
know.
think that's kind of. I think maybe Xbox started and then PlayStation took it over that with that share play thing because now
Okay.
you could actually have two people doing the same controller and they don't
Nice.
have to actually be on your platform on your account. They just you send them an invite and then they just take control.
Oh, okay.
So Xbox started it, then PlayStation's like, "Hey, you got a good idea. Let me finish it."
Yeah. I mean, hey, why not?
How
So
things can work sometimes.
Yeah.
So I know we talked a little bit about it earlier, how you potentially might, delve deeper into like, maybe doing retro games or movies, TV shows. Do you
Yeah.
have any future goals for your channel for, 1 hour, one decision, like what you'd like to see going forward? Obviously, everybody would like to see more engagement, more viewers, but what would you like to
Yeah.
see content wise on your channel? What do you want to see going forward?
Ooh. I mean, it's hard for me right now because it just makes editing a challenge. I do like to have people on the show,
Uh,
um, but uh, if I can figure out that workflow better, like to make it better, like I'd love to do that. I'd love um, to do more stuff like on the streaming side of things. Um, like I did I did a stream with a friend of the show, Dave Jackson, who does Tales from the Backlog. He's another podcast, and where he was like a big fan of Bloodborne and that whole like the From Software series stuff. And I I was never really a big fan of that like those types of games. So he came on my stream and like he kind of walked me through the first bit of the game and like explained to me like the mechanics and like how it worked and like how from like constructs their worlds and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, it was kind of an um interesting stream for me at least because he's trying to convince me to play this game. And it worked for some for a little bit because I grew to appreciate that style of game and you know why people really enjoy them.
I could be wrong. Maybe I might be mistaken for something else. But was he also the one that got you to stream Dragon Age 2?
No, what was that? No, Dragon Age 2. No. I don't think he got me to stream it, but I don't think he was on that stream. I don't remember. You were on there though, I think.
I was there. I was
Yeah,
watching
yeah.
somebody else type in chat, and I thought that might have been the guy.
Oh no. But um, it was yeah. This the Dragon Age was just like a random one that we actually picked from the surprise me button. So, but yeah, this like doing something like that, like just expanding maybe the brand in a way that like just to trying out new things and stuff like that would be kind of cool. I'd love for someone from Game Pass to come on the show. That would be cool too. That would like getting a like an Aaron Greenberg or something like that to be able to just hop on and talk about the service would be awesome. I don't know. Those
I,
are just some ideas,
I
some
think we
thoughts.
shared this. Well, at least same thing. That's one thing we've talked about before. Is I'd love to get more developers, studio
Yeah,
heads, just artists, or music artists for games, because
yeah,
obviously you hear players' opinions all the time, but when you have somebody that actually works behind the scenes, it's
yeah,
interesting to hear their take. So I definitely share your want to get more people like that
yeah,
on channels.
yeah. It'd be cool. Especially like yeah, and to your point, like if it was like a developer, a game designer for a game that we just like might have eviscerated on the podcast, for them to come on and be like, all right, well, this is why we built it this way in the first hour, and you need to give it this many more hours to really play it, and then we can have a nice discussion and like be like, okay, well, we didn't really like it because of this X, Y, and Z. So
Do better next time. Build it.
yeah, yeah.
so,
So
so who would be your like dream? Like, if you could right now message them and they reply, who would be your dream guest to have on? Like, obviously you said people from Game Pass.
Mm-hmm.
Would you go directly with Phil Spencer? Or would you go someone completely different? Like, it doesn't have to be just Game Pass. It could be like any guest that you want on. Who would you pick?
Oh my gosh, that's a good question. Um, I don't know, man. I don't. I mean, if it was Xbox, yeah, probably Phil would be good. Well, no, you know who I want. I want the guy or team that made the surprise button to come on the show. That's who I want. That's who I want to be on the show.
What would you ask them? Like, why'd you design it, or like, what would if you
Yeah,
could
I
make
mean,
the search better?
I'd be curious like where that the creation of that of the idea came from, and like what their thought process was, like how does it actually rotate the this like the games that you pick for me. So although actually I know this is the you asked this question about the Game Pass the app before. One thing I would like is for the surprise button to like know that I've played a certain game and pull that out of the you know randomness
Mhm.
of the game. So that would be nice to have.
Man, that would suck, especially with all the games you guys play. It just hitting random like search, surprise me. And you're like, I played that game. Surprise me.
Yeah.
I played that game too. All right, 10 surprise me later. I gotta keep siphoning.
Right. So I don't know. I mean, it's happened like once or twice, but it's not like not too bad. And especially as they keep acquiring new studios, it's like okay, cool, gives me more content to make.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, are you looking forward to this potential acquisition with Blizzard Activision?
Yes, because it would allow I'm at least from prior um like looking at like what Obsidian was able to do and stuff like that, allow these other development teams to stop making just Call of Duty X and do something like really potentially really interesting, because there's so many like very talented studios in that umbrella that I'm just like dying. Like, Raven Software, like they did so many cool games back in the day, right? Like they did like Soldier of Fortune, they did X-Men Legends, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, um, the probably one of the better movie tie-in games, X-Men Origins Wolverine. So it was like, they did so many cool things, and now they're like, if you look at their list on Wikipedia of like all the games they've made since, it's just Call of Duty,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and it's like it's just sad,
Mhm.
like because you're really hamstringing these guys from like really stretching their creativity, like those creative juices. Sorry, that's what I've been trying to say this whole time. So
No, I definitely agree with you because like I could be wrong, but I think there's like over 5 or 6 developing studios for like Warzone, and I'm like they don't need that. It's Warzone's
yeah,
garbage as it is. They pull those studios away from them. Like Toys for Bob, for example. Like one thing I'd
yeah,
love to see them do if they get acquired by Xbox is obviously make more Crash games. I think
yeah,
we're getting like Crash Team Rumble or something like that. I know Steve would like to see more Spyro games from them.
yeah,
Um, and then like you're saying, this is one thing I appreciate because a lot of people obviously like to bash X-Men Origins Wolverine, like the movie, but the game was surprisingly really good. It was a
it
hack and
was
slash beat 'em
cool.
up,
Yeah,
game, and it was like it went completely under the radar based because of the movie. And I'd love to see
yeah.
more. Same thing with like I think Deadpool was made by Activision as well. I'm not sure if you played that game.
Oh, real? Oh, the one with Nolan North, like did the voice?
I think
The
so,
guy?
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't realize that. That's cool.
It'd be cool to see them get more licenses again because like
Yeah.
Activision when they had like the Marvel licenses they made some really good games like Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2. Those
Yeah.
are good 4-player co-op games to
Oh,
just go
so good.
move and beat people up with.
Yeah, so good, so cool. Yeah, I don't know, that just to be able to, but like on top of that, you have Microsoft, um, IPs that are that are laying dormant too. Like that maybe you could get an opportunity to get like do stuff with that. So
Resurrect one of those. Yeah.
Oh,
So
I thought you said a game name and then I realized you said Resurrect.
yeah,
so since we're talking about like future stuff here, are there any future games you're anticipating for this year or maybe even next year?
that I'm anticipating, like
Yeah,
that haven't
can't
been
wait.
announced yet, or
Or no,
Well,
like
either or.
are there ones that that they're going to be released
oh,
this year or next year that you just can't wait to get your hands on?
um. Well, yeah, I mean Diablo 4 should be cool. Um what's I have to look at the list of games that are actually coming. Like apparently Armored Core is coming out this
Yep.
year.
The was it Armor
Uh
Core set? Is it 8 or 9?
6.
Oh, 6.
Oh God, I don't know.
I know their
yeah.
trailer looked awesome at the Game Awards.
Yeah.
I
So
want to say it was like 8 or 9. I think it was up there in numbers for me.
it might be. You're right. Like,
It's a good series though.
yeah, and I've heard a lot about it. And what else is there? There's some others. I was like, oh man, I really want to get into it, but I have to look it up now. Street Fighter 6, maybe I'll go back to Street Fighter. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah. Funny because I was playing 5 the other day, and I totally skipped out on 5, and it's like 6. Like, I don't know. Still haven't really sold me yet.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the Jedi Survivor. That's another one I'm interested in because Fallen Order was like I enjoyed it for the story, and like the combat was good, but it was like kind of Souls like that pissed me off a little bit because I'm like, oh god, every time I go to a save point, it's like it resets the whole world. I'm like, oh, I have to fight this guy again. It's annoying. But yeah, those are probably ones
Like
I've
top 3, top 4.
yeah.
Cool,
What about you guys?
Well, I'll start where you started. Diablo 4, I definitely am going to play. I don't know how much time I'm going to invest into it. My foray into Diablo was part 3, which I didn't even touch 1 and 2. So I did enjoy part 3 a lot. And for the little bit that they have shown, looks very, very good. So plus, not to mention their cinematic team is just the best in the world. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I am still one to pre-order games here and there. So that one actually is one on my pre-order list, but for different reasons as well. But Final Fantasy 16, I cannot wait till I get my hands on that. Next month I have Octopath Traveler 2 coming out. I still have games currently right now collecting dust, unfortunately. One of them Josh is playing, which is Sonic Frontiers. Let's see, what else I got on Horizon? Something we tend to bring up in the
strategy, Final Fantasy Reunion.
Well, those are games that I am currently in the middle of. But as far as future ones, no, like there's very
Legend
few
of Zelda,
games.
Tears of the Kingdom.
Yes, thank you. How did I forget that?
I mean, there's a lot of games supposedly coming out this year. So
yeah, so what I don't know if you do or do not know about me. I'm still a very hardcore World of Warcraft player. So with that said, it takes a lot for me to have a game where I'm like, okay, this is going on the shelf. I am putting all my attention and having tunnel vision for this game. So really the ones that I'm mentioning are the ones that'll do that for me. Like I said, next month, Octopath, I'm going to play that. Zelda comes out, I am going to play that. Final Fantasy 16, I am going to play that. These other ones, it's like, I want to play it. I want to play it really bad, but the whole time thing, like I said, unfortunately, being a WoW player does consume a lot of your time. So.
Yes.
But yeah, those will be the ones for at least this year that I could come up with. Thank you, Josh, for reminding me about Zelda. I can't believe I forgot about that. Yeah, that's what I got going for me so far.
For me, if we're talking about pre-order wise, there's only 2 games. That'll be Destiny, Lightfall, and then also Hogwarts Legacy. I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. I also like the combat of Hogwarts Legacy. I know people are bashing it right now, but honestly, from what I've seen, I don't care. I just like that I could,
everyone seems to be really excited about that.
Is it? Because I see, like, when I looked at Steam, I'm getting on PS5, but when I looked on Steam, it's like it's already got like negative reviews and all that stuff, and people are like bashing it. So I'm like, I don't know what the hate with that game is, but it seems like the general consensus besides the internet seems to be looking forward to it. But besides like pre-order, dude, there's so many games that I want to play. Like Starfield is one of them. Dead Island 2 is one of them. Legend of Zelda. Diablo is one of them. I'm not going to pre-order it because I played Diablo since Diablo 2 on the PC because my uncle, he got me into it. But the reason why I want to play Diablo is I'm a fan of the story and the cinematics are just insane. Like, I'm not sure if you watched the Game Awards this year, but when I seen the cinematics and I just see, what was the angel's name? That just like hovers over the soldiers.
I don't know if it was Tyrael or a different one. Like, it's kind of funny. I just saw a tweet. I meant to share it with you, Josh, because like once again, my knowledge of the Diablo lore isn't really there,
Mhm.
and they tweeted like a family tree, but for the demons and angels, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. Like it kind of now gives me a sense of like how they're all connected, right? And not only how they're connected, but the hierarchy. And there was just a lot in that little snapshot that I didn't even know. But so to that point, I think it's I always lean towards Tyrael, but it might not be Tyrael. It might be a different angel because there's like 4 of them.
That's true.
I
Didn't
think
he
one
die
would.
at one point too?
See, that's the thing. I don't know. Like I'm not too versed, and I didn't finish 3 for like the expansions. I only played the base game. So
I think Tyrion's with the Reaper of Souls with death. I think that's might be. I think this one's a different guy. I could be wrong though.
yeah, I'm not too sure. So wish I had the answer, but
But
I'll have to share you that tweet that I have. So
I'd love to see it. But yeah,
Yeah.
Diablo is like a weird game for me. It's like obviously I like the 4-player dungeon crawler aspect of it, where you just go around, loot, kill, move on. I'll probably get into like the hardcore mode. I'm not sure if you've ever played the hardcore thing at all, where if you have to play the game, and if you die, you lose your character completely.
I remember seeing that. I was like, I mean, that's too much of a challenge for me at this point in my life. But
For me, I usually dislike that, but for some reason in that game it makes
It
you
works.
feel, yeah, it works because you
Yeah.
feel like a sense of anxiety and adrenaline at the same time. It's like you want to attack, but you gotta, be passive about it, think your way forward, how you're gonna, plan your attack with your teammates, because obviously there's like tank characters and support characters and all that stuff.
Mhm.
So it's like that team building aspect and the communication, it makes that part more fun for me. I'm not sure if that's why you're looking forward to the game, because of the team building part, or if it's just a dungeon crawling looter that you like.
I think a little bit of both, because like it was definitely a game where I would just like go into a dungeon with a couple of buddies and just go to town on some skeletons and demons and stuff like that. So that the cooperativeness was always great to take part. Oh my god, okay, yeah. So
What was the first Diablo that you've touched?
the first one.
The
I
first
played
one,
the
nice.
first one. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Did you play it on PC or did you play it on another thing?
Of course, I played it on PC.
Okay. It seems like that's where everybody, like, if you're a Diablo person, you have to go PC.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely. Well, but I will say that Diablo 3, I felt pretty good to play on controller, because I actually bought Diablo 3 first on PlayStation 4,
Mm.
and I was like, wow, this is actually, it works surprisingly well on there, and
Interesting.
and then when I went back to the Diablo 3 on PC, I was like, I kind of miss playing with my controller, and they didn't give you the option to play with the controller. Like you had to get a whole remapper, and I was like, forget this. I'll just go back to the PlayStation and play it. So
Interesting.
yeah.
When they finally released it on the PlayStation, did they have any like PlayStation only perks? Because I know when they eventually released it on, I believe it was the Switch. If memory serves me correct. I think it had to be the Switch. They had like Zelda related freebies and content with it.
Oh.
Yeah, like Ganondorf stuff or skin or something. I can't remember vividly, but I thought that was like really cool. I was like, I never saw that happening, like putting those two, IPs together. It was like, wow, that's good on them.
Yeah.
Kind of similar to like way back when they had Link and Soul Calibur.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was just curious if PlayStation had anything like that and what it was.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't
I don't
remember
think they had one
either.
either.
Yeah, I don't think so, right? They probably just had like a starter up pack or something that got like a bunch of shit. Probably gold
I
and
know they
stuff.
had item packs because
Item packs, yeah.
well, if you bought the, what was it, the Eternal Edition, where they came with like Reaper Souls and the Rise of the Necromancer, it's like you got this bundle of items with it as well to give you like a little startup boost. I don't think it gave you anything else besides that.
So I don't know if you play long enough, Josh. I think that's when I stopped playing, but the PvP aspect of Diablo, are you a fan, both of you guys?
Oh
Do
no,
you enjoy it? No?
I tend to stay away from the
Stay for
PvP.
okay.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I think I tried it
Yeah.
once and then I got bodied and I was done.
Yeah.
It's like when you do that, you're like, just disappointing.
Yeah, it's so crazy because like like you said, it's a dungeon crawler. You go in, you just massacre things, and constantly try to get the best roll drop for your gear and just rinse and repeat. But it's so fun. Like the way they have the stage slash world build and how it's structured, that
Mm-hmm.
it's just like equally amount of time spent on each thing. Like no area seems too long, too short. Like they really do a good job managing that.
And also the variety and I'm not sure if it's like procedurally generated, but like the variety and pathing is also pretty good too.
Yeah. And then what I thought you were going to say was the spawning like of enemies too. Like sometimes it's not too monotonous where you're going to get the same exact spawns. Like you're going to get the same like family of mobs, but you're probably not going to get the exact same like like a rare spawn mob and et cetera,
Mm-hmm.
et cetera. So that's always kind of cool too. So that random generated part. So
Yeah,
that's cool.
I think one of the things that I was saying about hardcore mode is that when you would like randomly like go through the level and you get like your average enemies that are just patrolling in their little packs, but the next thing you know, you get a big boy coming by and tanking, and then you got more guys coming along behind you because they hear all the noise.
Or you think you're going into a pack that's a regular pack of mobs, but one of them is a named mob, so he's just gonna freaking hit you like a truck. You're like, what did I just do? They all look normal and weak.
Yeah, or they start summoning reinforcements out of nowhere. You're like, we should have focused that guy first. I don't know why we didn't take him. So, well, there's also other games too. Like I know Star Wars is also on my list as well. I know you played other LucasArts games, Chris, but have you played Force Unleashed 1 or 2?
Oh no, I've heard like those games are underrated.
They are, in my opinion. I mean, Fallen Order is good. I like it, but if I was to pick a actual like Star Wars game, Force Unleashed 1 and 2 are my top picks. And the reason I was asking is if you played it, I wanted to hear your opinion on that. If not, well, it looks like you're gonna have a submission later on for a 1 hour one decision episode.
Okay. Well, I the problem is though, Tom's a big Star Wars fan, so if he's played like he's probably played that game. I was guaranteed he's played that game. Anything that's Star Wars related, he will play. So I'll talk to him, but I don't know if he'll be like, I already played this. I'm like, okay, well.
Well, I guess it saves him some work. He already has his opinion.
Right, that's true too. That's true.
But if not, no worries.
Yeah. No, I mean, of course, we can talk. I could talk to him about it and see what's up with that. Go from there.
Does he seem to share since he said he's a Star Wars fan, does he seem like he's hyped for the new Star Wars?
Oh, yeah, I think so. I think he's really excited about that. I mean, he likes the new character, like what's Cal? Oh my god, Cal, right? Cal Kestis. No,
I think it might be, dude. I played the game and his
name
just
the
like
first
slipped my mind.
name sounds accurate. I don't know about his full name though.
Yeah. So like that he was really into that game and like what they were doing. And like I mean I like Respawn too. I think Respawn has done some great games so far. Like I really want another Titanfall, but that's probably never happening. So
yeah, it sucks that Respawn's such a good studio, but unfortunately because of EA, they'll always be dragged to different things like Apex Legends.
Right. Unfortunate, but so be it.
I need to experience some new Star Wars games. The last and this is gonna go way back. When the last one, this is regular PlayStation. I think it was Jedi Power Battles. I know I played the shit out of that one, and I liked it. And I liked it so much because like the fighting style was actually like combos. Like you actually had to hit the buttons in certain orders to do certain lightsaber moves. And I don't know why I just really liked it. It was kind of like a side scroller. But I take that back. I did try the MMO very shortly, but I couldn't get people to play with me. So I just, that's how, like, WoW's different. WoW is like, I'm invested, I could play by myself. It doesn't matter anymore. But whenever there was a different MMO, like, I was like, it just had to have, like, even, what was it? New World came out, like, was it last year?
I mean, I have that game. I've been
you have New World?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I think I tried to get Josh a little bit, but that was a hard push, but
I didn't
but
say no, but then when I said I'm down to play, you said nope. It's day one's already gone. Can't go
because
back.
it was already released, I felt like okay, we already missed the launch. I don't know
Right.
when it was finally like okay, green light. I'm like, nope, too late. Like we already missed 2 days. It's over. But since you said you play, how did you enjoy that? And do you still play it at all?
I played it for a little bit when it first came out, but then there was like all those server problems and stuff like that. And then I did pick it up recently again. When did I start? I think it was like October, November. I think they did like essentially like another
Like a patch or
I don't
something?
yeah, like it was like
Yeah.
a big update for it.
Mhm.
And it was pretty fun from what I call there was a lot of like quality of life stuff that they finally got into the game.
Mhm.
And yeah, like it was fun for a bit, and then like I don't know, like I was playing with a friend of mine, and then like he just kind of dropped off. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess we're not playing this anymore. So it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, it kind of sucks because I don't know like how much you could achieve, playing solo. That at least
yeah,
that version of an
yeah,
MMO. But I just because that was something that me and Josh had our eye on for years because they revealed it
yeah,
years and it took them so long to finally get it out. And immediately when it did launch, I was like, man, that game looks beautiful, like graphically and then whatever.
yeah.
It just wasn't too sold on the gameplay itself, but I was just like, I don't care, sold on this. But still never came to fruition, and unfortunately, I mean, it's still up and running, but the popularity definitely has
Yeah.
plummeted. So
I don't
kind
know
of a
if the
shame.
popularity dropped because when I look at Twitch, it's still pretty high up there. I mean, it
Is it?
also
Oh,
could be
really?
that it's an Amazon game, I believe.
Yeah, they're pumping
It
it.
is.
It's just
Yeah.
pump it up.
But I mean, it's still top of the directory in most places, and there's still a lot of people playing it.
Okay. I mean, you're still gonna have a lot of people playing it, but I mean, once again, as you know, being a WoW player, like when a new MMO comes out, I see the flock and the herd of people like, oh, here's the next WoW killer.
Right,
It's like,
right.
let's give it 2 months,
Yeah, right.
and then and sure enough, that's what happens.
Yeah.
So but yeah, I
Yes.
actually watched a little bit of people playing it, and it did look nothing short of amazing. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
But you mentioned the whole quality of life improvements. I know that was a big issue as time went on. People started complaining because they're used to other style of MMOs, and then get there, it's like, oh, why doesn't this one have this and this one have
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. I mean, like,
Yeah.
there's no mounts or anything, but they fixed the whole fast travel system,
Mhm.
which was it makes getting to places so much easier, and like getting like so that was like the biggest gripe for me way back when, because it's like all you're doing is just walking, like you're just
Yeah.
walking, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh my god.
Yeah.
So
I was just looking New World up on Twitch right now. It's got 2.9 thousand, or sorry, 2.9 thousand viewers right now. So it seems like it gets up there, and I think usually at its peak it's about maybe 10,000, which I'm not sure if that's a lot or a little. But surprisingly, when I was looking at the list, Sea of Thieves is on there. I totally
Thieves.
forget how popular that game is, and it's an
Yeah.
Xbox game.
I mean, that's a fun game too, and like it just needed time to get the content in and stuff like that. I mean, I just recently started playing that again with a buddy of mine, and it's like the water. I think I don't think there's anyone that has made water look that good in a game. I think Horizon Forbidden West got pretty close, but for like an open world game and all that stuff, like, oh my god, this it looks so good.
I think it's so funny you bring up just how graphically water looks because
Yeah.
one of my friends like we'll analyze water in so many games like, oh my god, do you see the graphics of the water? Like it's almost one of the most silliest things to analyze in a
It's silly.
game. But at the same time, it's like across a lot of games, it's like, why does the graphic of water look the best?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
out of all the graphics, it's just like, I don't know. It's so funny you even mentioned that. It's hilarious.
But in Sea
I
of
mean,
Thieves, actually, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was like, you're probably gonna say the same thing. Like you're on the water most of the time, so it's
Yeah.
like it better look good because
Yeah. I guess for sea, yeah. I mean, that's a little bit
And
different.
not only that, but you also go in the water too. So
Right.
there has to be like a functionality with it, because like, what was it? I think one thing that has Sea of Thieves has going for it too is the art style that it has. It's more of a cartoonish art style compared to like
Yeah.
photorealism. I think that's why the water can look as good as it does compared to like
Yeah.
some like Batman Arkham Knights or whatever.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I was just looking right now to see.
So look at Twitch stats.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if you guys were talking about this earlier when I was looking this up because I kind of like when I get tunnel vision, I for some reason go deaf at the same time.
That's all good.
When you play New World and when your friend kind of like dropped off, did you stop playing that game too, or because of yeah?
100%. I was like, oh well, I'm like, because it was like at the time I felt like we were kind of trying to climb levels and like try to get to the end, end game scenario and all that stuff, but all that content and then when he kind of dropped off, I'm like, well, why I don't have anyone to go and get to that point anymore. So what's the point of me playing this again? So
Yeah, totally. So, kind of bringing a little real life conversation to this, but still keeping it gaming. So, me and Josh, we went to one of our local arcades, which happens to be the largest in the country. And Josh never has been to an arcade like such. So
The only arcades I've ever been to are like bowling alley and miniature golf ones.
yeah, but this is just full-fledged, like old school, like I don't know if you want to say 80s, just nothing but arcades. So with that said, my question to you is, did you play arcades growing up and back in the day? And if so, which ones were you fond of? Like, which one took more of your quarters than anything?
Oh man, Ninja Turtles always.
Which one? The part 2 or Turtles in Time?
Turtles in Time.
Yeah,
and
it's a good
and,
one.
X-Men arcade, Simpsons arcade.
Which X-Men one? Because me and Josh were playing one that was 6 players, and I didn't. You remember that one?
It was that one. Yeah.
It was that one.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
That one.
That's hilarious.
And then like later on, like Sega had some great ones like Virtual On. Like it was like a mech like I don't know if it was like 1v1, but it was like it's kind of like that. It was just so fun. And then oh my god, Time Crisis.
Okay.
Those games, those series like House of the Dead.
Oh, it's funny when I was at the arcade. That's what I played a lot of light gun games. And House of the Dead, I played 1 through 4.
Yeah. So, excuse me. Yeah. So those probably ate a lot of my quarters and all that stuff at that time. So
I definitely know if the admission fee wasn't $25 and all the arcades were set to free to play, I probably would have wasted over $100 at that arcade.
Yeah. Well, we were playing this side scroller like shooter game. That game alone was set to infinite lives, and we died I don't know how many times. And we're like, man, imagine how much money we would have blown just in that one gameplay.
Seriously.
Like it would have been ridiculous. I was like, yeah, I think we're like $20 deep already.
Yeah, dude, that so it's like a bullet hell game where there's just a whole bunch of stuff on the screen. You have to dodge and shoot and kill, and there's just a lot to do. And we died many times.
Nice.
But I guess to move on to our last thing, because I know time, we gotta wrap up soon because we got certain things to do. But I'm not sure if you're excited for this. I know I am. So this Sunday, Last of Us, the TV show's coming out. Has there been any TV show, movie of any game that you've enjoyed, or any game that you'd love to see adapted into a show?
Oh, I know they already did it, but I think it could be kind of cool as a series. Uncharted would be kind of cool as a like an actual series, like
and not like the movie.
And not the movie. But I haven't seen it though. I've heard it's okay, but I don't know. I could be wrong.
If it wasn't Uncharted, it'd be good.
Okay, that's good to know. What other? Oh, I don't know. I think Sea of Thieves could be kind of fun as a show.
Yeah, if Parts of the Caribbean doesn't take Giant Depp back, he could be Jack Sparrow and Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, there you go. What else? Yeah, those are all I can think of right now in terms of. Well, I guess maybe Yakuza could be cool.
That actually would be a really good one too, because like they've done. I mean, Netflix has done stuff like that before. Like, I'm trying to think of the name. It's like there's this American reporter that goes over them. They show like the Yakuza life.
Oh yes, that was on HBO, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I know exactly. Tokyo Vice.
Yes, Tokyo Vice.
That was a good series.
Yeah, they could do something like
oh,
that with like Yakuza. I think it'd be good.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And that was good. I would love to see that. And I was just looking at something. I was like, oh, that would be cool too.
I think Josh accidentally buried the lead there, but are you going to watch The Last of Us?
Yeah, I think I will because
Oh.
I'm not. I wasn't a fan of the game.
Oh,
Only because
okay.
I will say the two reasons why. One, I don't think, at least from the experience of playing Uncharted, the stealth mechanics like in Uncharted like just were not great. And then like or The Last of Us was just mostly that. I was like, I'm out. I don't want to do any of that. And then secondly, the prologue of the first game like really hit me. Like I think I just had my first kid at the time, and then seeing that I was like, oh, I'm not playing this. Like I'm done.
It's funny that you say it because Steve hasn't played the game. He's interested in the story, and it seems like a lot of people get deterred from the gameplay.
Yeah,
but I'm not a dead at all, so I can't connect emotion wise, or I can't connect as deep emotion wise. But even that scene for me, and I don't want to spoil it too much for Steve, but that hits pretty hard, man. And then also seeing the connection between Joel and Ellie because of what happens in that prologue, it makes a lot of sense building up to it.
Sure. And I think the thing for me is like when I'm playing a game, like I prefer it to like bring me happiness instead of sadness. So like the world as it is already pretty crappy, so it's like I don't need a game to make me feel even more crappy. So you know, that's just my thing. But like I'll watch it. I'll watch the show because like I'm okay with a sad show. I'd be like, okay, I didn't control it, or I couldn't control this situation. I'm just watching things unfold.
Gotcha. So it's funny, like I too tried to start playing it, but I stopped for different reasons than you. Mine was more, but also kind of somewhat similar because like I got to a point where I only invested about kind of to the theme to what you guys do about an hour.
Yeah.
And I just quickly got to the resolution that I didn't want to play it anymore. I'd rather watch it. Now I never either just sat down to just go watch a streamer play it like from beginning to end, as a lot of streamers can do.
Yeah.
So now that the fact this is being converted to a TV show, I'm definitely excited to see it and consume it as such. I think me and Josh, we're going to have a lot of follow-up podcasts talking about it. And it's going to be great because, like, you know, we're going to have different, you know, viewpoints as to how we're going to review the show. Since I didn't experience the games and Josh did, I think we're going to have some really good conversations about that.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Should be exciting.
Yeah.
And maybe this could lead to new avenues of, you know, the 1 hour, 1 decision TV show podcast.
maybe. Let's
Had to go back to, you know, you got, I mean, there's a starting point for everything. It's a video game show. Why not?
No.
Gotta go full circle.
You make good points.
But I know you had very limited time, Chris, but we appreciate you being on the, you know, the podcast today.
Yeah.
Do you want to let people know where they can find you?
Yeah. So again, thank you guys for this invitation. This is great to be able to chat with you guys on all these different topics. It was fun. So you can check me out on most, if not all, of the podcasting platforms. Show name again is 1 hour, 1 decision, and we stream our gameplay on Twitch at twitch.tv/1h1d, and you know we have we post our videos and podcasts every week, Wednesday nights at 10, and our videos go to the Quit the Build channel, so it's just Quit the Build is the channel name. And yeah, and I think that's it. I think that's everything. Oh yeah, Twitter. We're also on Twitter, that dying platform apparently. It is TC1H1D is the Twitter name. And yeah, you know, I'm happy to have a conversation with anyone. And again, thanks so much for having me on the show.
Yeah,
awesome. Hopefully we can have you back. That was really great.
And we'd love to have Tom on here too, because I'd love to hear both your
Yeah.
opinions, especially on Star Wars and other games.
Yeah.
But links will be in the description below for anyone that wants to check out 1 Hour One Decision. I definitely recommend it. Great channel. But that is going to be it for episode 20. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
Peace.